Hello YouTube, I'm Mr. Fragglespock, and I thought I would just record a quick vlog to let you know my thoughts on the new Doctor Who spin-off Class, which the first two episodes just went up on BBC Three, which, if you don't know, is the BBC's online exclusive streaming service. That's sort of their answer to Netflix. I liked it. Got a very negative reception out of the gate because it had a very tangential connection to the original show, and I think that turned a lot of people off. Also, tonally, it doesn't really have the same vibe as Doctor Who, which I like. I think a spin off, particularly a spin off as different as this and as demographically different as this, should have a distinct tone, and it does have a really, really different tone to Doctor Who, and it sort of immerses you in this show straight away as opposed to trying to shake off the residual feeling of Doctor Who, which was a big problem for me with the Sarah Jane Adventures. So I'm very happy that they struck a good tone right away, and there's a good balance of darkness and humour, which was one of the things the writer Patrick Ness was, constantly talking about in the lead up to the show, and he delivered. There are moments where I found it to be quite amusing. The dialogue was very witty, very Joss Whedon-y, and there were times where it was genuinely quite gory and disturbing, and I like a good balance when it comes to genre shows like this. I like to be both thrilled and entertained. Although thrilled and entertained are arguably the same thing, but you know what I was alluding to. Anyway, didn't like all the characters straight away. I thought they had a tendency to characterize through a little too much through expository dialogue rather than showing character traits, at least initially. That did get better as both episodes wore on, and you definitely got more of a handle on who each of these people were as the episode went on. Patrick Ness clearly has a talent for writing young characters. I haven't read any of his books, but clearly, he's been writing for young adults for a while, so he knows how to write younger characters, because, they felt like real teenagers at points. There were points where they didn't, because they are characters in a TV show, and in order to deliver exposition and things, you do have to talk somewhat unnaturally at times. I can remember all their names, which, some people were complaining they couldn't remember any of their names, but special mention to Sophie Hopkins as April, because I knew a lot of people like April in high school, and I thought the character was very endearing and kind of instantly likable. I have to admit, one of the characters, Charlie, who is an alien, felt kind of like a cheap replacement for Luke from Sarah Jane. He's even gay, which, if you didn't know, one of the plans for Sarah Jane Adventures was to have Luke be gay, and it just feels like the two characters are very similar on paper. Of course, they are in completely different environments with completely different tones and completely different styles, but on a characterization level, they feel very similar. I like a lot of the creature concepts we've been seeing so far. I thought the shadow people, well, initially I thought the concept was a bit generic. It did grow on me as they showed you the kind of different things that they could do with it. I mean, obviously a little similar to the Vashta Narada for my taste, but, a good introductory monster, and I thought having something a bit more basic was a good way to go, at least for the pilot. I did worry that they were just going to chuck a kind of traditional Doctor Who monster in there for the first episode, just to acclimate people to the show, but props to them, they didn't do that, and I was very, very pleased that they decided to do something slightly more original as opposed to just throwing a Dalek in there or something. Peter Capaldi's appearance was very, very funny. They clearly know how to give Peter Capaldi funny lines, and Peter Capaldi can be genuinely witty and genuinely quite funny. His little line about IKEA, for example, had me in stitches. His facial expressions as well. He's a very good visual actor. I thought the younger actors, especially next to someone like Peter, acquitted themselves very well, and You know, the performances were very good. I didn't feel like I was watching actors. I felt like I was watching these characters, and they felt like real teenagers. So it was very immersive. Catherine Kelly was fantastic. I thought I like Miss Quill. She's a very interesting, very different sort of mentor figure. You know, she's definitely not Captain Jack. She's definitely not Sarah Jane. She's somewhere between the two, I would say, and I think that's an apt way to describe this show. Would be somewhere between the two. It certainly has the darker tone and the slightly more mature content of Torchwood, but it doesn't struggle with the same relatability issue that a lot of early Torchwood did. You know, it has that same kind of teenage relatability that something like Sarah Jane had. You know, even as kids, you were very quick to relate to these characters, and Class has a lot of that same instantly ingratiating feel to it. I need to take a breath, I'm talking too fast. I thought the creature concept of the second episode was really interesting, the kind of alien creature trapped in a tattoo. I will say, some of the lampshade hanging, can't talk today. Lampshade hanging with the concept was a bit forced. Just because calling out the similarities of your premise to other shows does not make it more original. It just means that you're aware that you're being unoriginal. Like those lines of, oh, it's like a Hellmouth, it's like that town in Once Upon a Time. Why couldn't they have just said Storybrooke? Yeah, there are people who know what Storybrooke is. And again, I'm a Once Upon a Time fan, so I'm a little biased in that regard. But anyway, no, I really liked it. Characters were cool. Dialogue was good, creature concepts were interesting, the tone was very well established and felt very in keeping with what they always said they were trying to go for, so that's good. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with the rest of the series. See you later, guys.